Aylesbury, an ancient market town in Buckinghamshire, populated with Tudor and Jacobean architecture, an idyllic setting in the home counties, about to be blemished by a gaggle of cops with too much time in their hands and too little brain in their heads. See, the police don't like people who stand about with posh cameras, not breaking any laws and filming the sights. It makes the officer feel like he isn't the most important thing in the street. So why not go over there and flash some blue cloth? See if he can't reclaim some attention that is his by right.
Exactly.
I'm just from the town centre.
Okay. What specifically? Because your camera's on my colleague at the minute.
Just everyday life.
Okay, specifically the police or?
No.
No? Okay, just it's very much centred over there.
Oh no, it's not. I'm filming everywhere. I film.
Do you want to just show me what you've been recording then?
No,
possible?
I don't have to.
You don't? You don't have to, no? You got any details on you at all?
No, I don't have to provide any.
Okay, so do you not work for a newspaper or anything?
I don't have to disclose that.
Glenn?
Why are you recording then? For what reason?
I don't have to disclose that because
Okay.
I'm in a public place. I'm filming in public.
Well, you know what's happening soon. We'll just be in.
I've no idea what's happening.
Can you come back a sec?
We've just been asked to find out who you are, so that's all. Not a problem.
I'm not going to disclose that, I'm afraid,
For what reason?
because I choose not to.
Okay. The gentleman refused to give any details whatsoever or tell us who he's working for.
Okay, what's the problem with giving any details?
Because I don't have to give any details.
Okay. Why are you filming? Obviously from
I've explained why I'm filming. It's just for posterity. It's just because I'm a photographer. It's what I do.
Okay. For who?
For myself.
Okay.
As I've come over, your camera's specifically pointed on my colleagues over there.
Oh, well, if you've been watching me, you've seen that I filmed
No,
loads
I've
of
watched
stuff.
you and you've only been pointing over there.
No, I
and
haven't.
that's what
I've been
I've
filming.
seen.
I've been filming for about an hour and a half in the centre.
What, you've been stood here
No,
for
I
an hour
haven't
and
been
a half?
stood here for an hour
Okay,
and
well,
a half.
I've been stood here for at
I was
least 20 minutes.
I've been filming that statue and I've been filming the bloke over there playing the flute. I don't have to explain myself to you.
Nobody's required to satisfy a police officer that he or she isn't committing an offence, but too many cops, such as this, regard themselves as travelling courtrooms, where they get to try members of the public on the spot for imaginary offences, simply because that person refused to surrender what little rights they do possess to move around freely. By the way, if you are the sort of person who thinks the police should be able to interrogate, ID and search whomever they want without reasonable grounds, just for the sake of making their job easier, then why not go vote for it in Parliament? Civil rights aren't just for the sake of criminals who don't want to be caught. Some of us are rightly cynical of agents of the state, and we tend to believe that the police should only act within the powers they've been granted by the legislator.
Aylesbury, do you know what's going on this
Of course I know
weekend
the
or
history
anything
of
like
Aylesbury.
Okay, so you know the history of Aylesbury from...
Yeah.
It's
I've lived in Aylesbury.
not had the best press and everything in recent years in relation to certain people that live in Aylesbury, has it?
I've absolutely no
Okay.
idea.
Do you know what's going on this weekend in Aylesbury?
Nothing to do with me.
And I'm not saying it's got anything to do with you.
I don't know what's going on this weekend, no.
Okay, so you don't know what's going on. Okay, so we've got a big protest going on in Aylesbury this weekend. It's common knowledge.
I wasn't aware of that.
Okay,
Well, I
so
wasn't aware
obviously, from our perspective,
Yeah.
okay, we look at someone filming police operations and buildings and
I'm
stuff.
not
when there's-
filming police operations.
Well, we don't know that, do I?
What he's referring to here is an EDL march set for the following day, which in this cop's mind means an automatic prohibition of street photography the day before, even though no public order application has been made by the Chief Constable.
Coming on this weekend.
But
Okay.
that's got nothing to do with me.
I'm not saying it's got anything to do with it, but it could have something to do with you. That's why
Yeah,
I'm
but
asking.
I'm
But you're,
telling-
not, you're telling me that, but I've got no reason to believe it because you won't give me any details, so I
Do you
can't
want to
check you
speak
out
to
for your
your
system.
desk sergeant and ask them whether it's legal for me to film in public and whether I have
I know
to
it's
disclose
legal.
any-
I'm not saying it's not legal for you to film in
Well,
public.
why are you
I'm trying to
asking
find
me?
out your reasons why you're filming in public.
Well, I've just told you that.
No, you haven't. You said you've already told me
I
what you're
said I
filming.
said I was filming for posterity. I'm a photographer. It's my hobby. This is what I do. Every year in October, I film the centre of Aylesbury because it's a nice time of year. It's nice lighting, and it's you look at the leaves and everything like that. From an artistic point of view, that's why I'm doing it.
Okay. And so what's your reasons for not giving any details then?
Because I don't have to.
But that seems a bit, if you're legitimately filming.
What's your reason for asking me for my personal details?
I'll explain to you. We've got a protest.
Yeah.
We've got history. There's a possibility.
I'm not
could be
going to give you,
reconnaissance
listen
of
to me.
things.
I'm not going to give you my personal details, and that's final. Okay.
I don't know about you, but if I wanted to film some bored cops malingering around the town centre, some kind of extreme right-wing reconnaissance, I'd do it covertly. not stood in plain sight with a digital camera on a tripod. Not that it matters, because this cop has no interest in hearing the innocent explanation the cameraman repeatedly gives him. All the cop cares about is that his authority has been challenged in a public place, and he can't walk away for fear of losing face.
How would you like it if I just walked up to you and said, do you want to tell me what you're doing?
Simple thing is, right?
You might be wearing a police uniform.
I could search you.
But you're a public citizen.
I don't know what you're
exactly
filming. Okay, we've got potential protest on this. Well, we have got a protest on this weekend. Okay, between where it could. There's a possibility trouble could be caused.
So
I don't know if you're involved. I don't know if I'm explaining to you if you listen to me. Okay, so I don't know whether you're filming, whether you're here. Reconnaissance to possibly be involved in any sort of terrorist attacks. I'm not going to shout that out to the loud. So
I was looking at reconnaissance. Surely I'll be on Google Earth or something.
Okay, you can provide me some identification, or I'm going to search you under the Terrorism Act.
No, you're not.
Okay, I will search you.
No, you won't.
Okay, if you're not going to comply to, you can show me some ID and I can check you out.
This conversation could have been over a long time ago.
I said, well, fine, I'm going to search you on this everything. And if you're not going to, because you're filming buildings and landmarks. We've got a protest on. Okay, you're not providing me any details. You're not providing me reasonable excuse. I don't know who you are. Okay, so I'm going to search you under the Terrorism Act and you should perform some identification. I'll search you by force if I have to.
Are you really prepared to do that?
Yes.
I suggest you get your sergeant down here.
Okay, you can vote before I get my sergeant down here, but I will search you first.
No,
so I'm comfortable decisions.
Well, I'm refusing to let you search me.
Okay, well, it doesn't work like that.
Yes, it does, because the search he's about to conduct is unlawful, and this man is entitled to use reasonable force to prevent it. Not that it would stop a cop from furthering an assault and battery. The fact is that the Terrorism Act is so often abused by police that it's one of those rare acts that has its own code of practice to safeguard the public from small-minded overlords such as this. Take this section, for instance, which states, "There has been widespread concern amongst photographers and journalists about the use of stop and search powers in relation to photography. It is important that police officers are aware, in exercising their counter-terrorism powers, that A. Members of the public and media do not need a permit to film or photograph in public places. B. It is not an offence for a member of the public or journalist to take photographs, film of a public building. And C. The police have no power to stop the filming or photographing of incidents or police personnel."
Why? Stop resisting.
You're making a thing.
Do you want to get your sergeant down here?
That's all right. We can discuss it. We'll take it to the station. We'll search at the station.
Really? You can take me to the station?
And then you can complain to the inspector and the sergeant directly there if you like.
I've got to pick my child up from preschool at 12:30.
Well, we're only going to take you for a search. If you've got nothing wrong, got nothing on you that's incriminating, then you'll be able to go, won't you? So
I'm going to be suing you for this.
We could be gone by now. If you'd given us your details in the first place, we'd be gone by now.
I'm not obliged to give you any details whatsoever.
At this point, the officer conducts a search without following proper procedure. Before any search begins, the police officer must identify himself, state which station he's from, state the object of the search and the grounds of the search, as well as the law he's acting upon. He only has to miss out one of these steps, and the search becomes illegal, even if he has good grounds for making the search, which he certainly doesn't here. The only exception to this, the search is made under Section 60 of the Criminal Justice and Public Order Act, where a senior officer can lay down a blanket stop and search operation in a designated area for a period of 24 hours. That was not in force here, and even if it were, the police are obliged to tell you that it's in force, or again, the search will be illegal.
I'll take my bag off.
Okay.
Do it in my own time, okay? Don't start putting your hands on the bag.
okay, well, you'll have to take your bag off, and I'll send you back. You got no ID on your top.
I don't know whether I have or not. I'm not required to by law, that's for sure.
We'll take that. Turn that off.
No, you're not going to turn it off. You're not going to turn my camera off. There you go.
Terrorism Act Code of Practice 4.13.5. The person being searched should never be asked or allowed to turn the device on or off because of the danger of evidence being lost or damaged.
I'm going to continue to film. Yeah.
Having searched the cameraman and found nothing, this officer then needlessly imprisons him further while he performs an unnecessary check to find out who he is, despite having no powers to do so. You aren't obliged to give your name to a police officer who searched you and found nothing.
Okay.
We'll give you our child numbers.
So if you keep filming me, I'll seize it. If you're going to make a complaint, I'll seize you that as evidence of the complaint. So you can
No,
stop
it doesn't
filming.
work like that.
Can you believe this cop is willing to further the assault he's already committed on this cameraman by threatening to seize his camera, just because he's voiced an intention to complain? Evidence of a complaint is not a criminal matter, so this cop has no powers under Section 19 of PACE to seize the camera. So the officer's threat can be considered an assault. The cameraman wants to sue this officer for assault, battery and false imprisonment. Then get in touch with me and I'll show him how. Otherwise, this becomes yet another example of how the police get away with abusing their powers on a daily basis, and all because they can't resist the temptation to harass anyone who dares to film or photograph in the street. Unless, of course, you're a police officer wearing body-worn video, or a council controller operating one of the 6 million CCTV cameras that stare down at us 24 hours a day. Oh, and in case you're wondering how many terrorists have been stopped in the street under the Terrorist Act, searched and subsequently prosecuted, the answer is a big fat zero.